As the world prepared to enter the year 2000, there was a strange mix of excitement and uncertainty in the air. People everywhere talked about the future, new possibilities, and how the next century might change their lives. But in the middle of all this noise stood one person whose name already felt larger than time itself: Michael Jackson. For more than 3 decades, he had been a symbol of music, style, imagination, and global unity. Children copied his dance steps, adults admired his success, and artists from every nation saw him as a guide they wished to follow. Yet despite the admiration, Michael often lived quietly within himself, thinking, planning, and dreaming of what he could still give to the world. As the late 1990s came to an end, people wondered which figures would be remembered as defining icons of the century that was ending. And whenever that question came up, Michael Jackson's name naturally stood at the top. His impact had been enormous. He had broken music records, changed the way music videos were made, brought new energy to dance, and connected millions of people through art. To many fans, he was more than an entertainer. He was a cultural treasure. But Michael, with his soft voice and gentle smile, rarely spoke of himself that way. He simply wanted to create and share. Fame was a shadow that walked behind him, not something he chased. Around this time, the World Music Awards made an announcement that quickly spread around the globe. They decided to create a special honor that would not be given every year, not even every decade. An award meant to recognize the most influential and groundbreaking artist of the modern era. It was called the Millennium Award. There was only one person they believed truly deserved it, someone whose work had shaped the world's musical landscape more than anyone else: Michael Jackson. When Michael heard about the award, he felt a mix of surprise and gratitude. He did not see himself the way the world saw him. He knew he had accomplished many things, but he also felt there was still so much to do. Throughout his life, he believed in working hard, pushing boundaries, and never losing the sense of wonder that fueled his creativity. To him, the Millennium Award was not a label that said, "You've done enough." Instead, it felt like a gentle reminder that his art had touched people's hearts in ways he sometimes forgot to notice. In the weeks leading up to the award ceremony, people around him sensed that this moment meant something special. His team prepared for the trip, his fans made plans to travel to Monte Carlo, and journalists began writing stories about why Michael Jackson was the perfect choice for such an award. Even people who did not follow pop music closely agreed that Michael had left a mark that reached far beyond charts and television screens. His concerts had filled stadiums. His humanitarian efforts had brought hope to many. His songs had become part of people's memories, celebrations, and dreams. But despite all the attention, Michael kept his daily routines simple. He spent quiet hours in the studio, reflecting on melodies and ideas. He listened to old songs, studied instruments, and rehearsed dance movements with the same passion he had when he was a child. After so many years, he could have taken a break, but that was not his nature. Music lived in him, and he felt responsible for nurturing it. As the day of the ceremony drew closer, Michael thought about the long path that had brought him here. He remembered standing on small stages with his brothers, performing for crowds who never imagined that the boy in front of them would one day change the world. He remembered late nights rehearsing until his body grew tired, but his spirit stayed full of excitement. He remembered moments when he felt uncertain, moments when he faced challenges, and moments when he wondered how much longer he could carry the weight of worldwide attention. But through everything, he found comfort in creativity. When he danced, the world disappeared. When he sang, his heart felt light. And when his music brought people joy, he felt he was fulfilling a purpose greater than fame. People often assumed that awards meant a lot to Michael, but in truth, what mattered to him was the meaning behind them. He didn't collect trophies to feel important. He kept them as reminders of how deeply connected he was to people everywhere. The Millennium Award felt different from the others. It was not just for a song, an album, or a performance. It was a tribute to an entire lifetime of influence. As he prepared for his trip to Monte Carlo, he felt humbled rather than proud. He thought about the cultural impact of music and how lucky he felt to be part of that world. His team discussed outfits, schedules, and security details, but Michael's mind drifted to memories. Children laughing in his concerts, fans crying with happiness, artists telling him that his music changed their lives. Those were the real rewards to him. No award could shine brighter than the love he had received from his audience for so many years. Everyone around him sensed his calmness. There were no grand speeches or loud celebrations at his home. Instead, Michael spent quiet time with his children, talked softly with his staff, and practiced mindfulness in the way he usually did, through creativity. Even as the world saw him as larger than life, he saw himself as someone still learning, still growing, still discovering new ways to express beauty. He thought about the arrival of the new millennium. The future would bring new technologies, new music styles, and new rising stars. Michael believed each generation added something to the world, and that no artist should hold the spotlight forever. He felt grateful for the years he had already lived in that light, and he hoped that his work would continue to inspire kindness, imagination, and courage in others long after he was gone. The Millennium Award made him reflect not only on his journey, but also on the journey of the world. Music had changed so much since he started. Yet one thing remained the same: the power of sound to bring people together. In every country where he performed, he saw people from different cultures singing the same words, dancing to the same beat, and smiling with the same joy. That unity meant more to him than album sales or headlines, and so in the quiet days before the ceremony, Michael prepared not with extravagance, but with gratitude. He did not rehearse a dramatic acceptance speech or plan a grand appearance. He simply carried himself with the humility of someone who understood that every achievement was built on a foundation of love, creativity, and the support of countless people: family, fans, musicians, dancers, and even strangers who believed in him without ever meeting him. By the time the moment arrived for him to travel to Monaco, he felt peaceful. The world celebrated him as a legend stepping into the new century. But Michael walked into the experience as a man with a grateful heart, ready to accept the honor not for himself alone, but for everyone who had been part of his journey. To him, the Millennium Award was not the end of a story. It was a milestone in a life dedicated to lifting others through music. The day of the World Music Awards finally arrived, and Monte Carlo shimmered in its usual glamour. The streets sparkled with lights, the air was filled with excitement, and the Mediterranean sun reflected off the beautiful yachts anchored in the harbor. People from all over the world had come to witness history being made. Fans lined the streets, cameras clicked constantly, and reporters hurried to capture every moment. There was an electric energy in the air that seemed to vibrate through the entire city. Michael Jackson was coming, and everyone knew that this would not be an ordinary night. Inside the grand venue, preparations were in full swing. Stagehands moved props and lights into position while sound engineers tested microphones and speakers. Cameras were positioned in every corner, ready to capture the smallest smile, the slightest wave, the softest word. The event organizers had carefully planned each moment, knowing that the arrival of Michael Jackson would be the highlight of the evening. For them, it was more than just an award ceremony. It was a historic celebration of a man whose influence transcended music, fashion, and culture. Outside the venue, excitement reached a fever pitch. Fans had camped overnight, waving banners and holding up signs with messages of love and admiration. Children dressed as Michael Jackson danced on the sidewalks, copying his famous moves, from the moonwalk to his signature spins. Parents took pictures and laughed, amazed at the dedication and joy that one man had inspired in so many generations. The local news broadcasted live from the red carpet, interviewing excited fans who barely contained their emotions. Some had traveled thousands of miles just for a glimpse of their idol. The atmosphere was a mixture of anticipation, happiness, and awe. When Michael Jackson finally arrived, a wave of cheers erupted that seemed to shake the very air. His limousine glided to a stop, and the doors opened. Dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit, he stepped out with his usual poise, his gentle smile calming any nerves that might have been present in the crowd. Unlike many stars who rely on flashy entrances, Michael carried an aura of quiet confidence. His presence alone commanded attention. Cameras flashed, and reporters shouted questions, but Michael's focus remained calm and composed. He greeted fans with soft waves and kind nods, taking a moment to notice the joy reflected on their faces. For him, this was the reward, seeing how deeply his music had touched the lives of so many people. The red carpet became a scene of celebration. Fellow artists and entertainers, many of whom had been inspired by Michael in their own careers, gathered to pay their respects. There was a sense of camaraderie and admiration. Some bowed or hugged him. Others simply smiled in awe. Michael's influence was visible in every expression, in every conversation. People spoke about how his songs had inspired them, how his performances had taught them to dream bigger, and how his dedication to art and philanthropy had motivated them to pursue kindness and creativity. It was not just fame they celebrated. It was the impact of a life lived fully in service of music and humanity. Backstage, Michael prepared for the ceremony in a quiet, private space. Unlike the bustling excitement outside, this room was calm, almost serene. His team worked efficiently, ensuring everything was in place, but Michael spent his moments reflecting. He thought about the performances he had given over the years, the countless fans who had attended his concerts, and the moments of connection that had made his journey meaningful. Even in a career filled with accolades, he remained humble, understanding that the award he was about to receive represented more than his personal achievements. It symbolized the joy, inspiration, and unity he had helped create around the world. When the ceremony began, the audience was spellbound. Every detail had been designed to honor the life and work of Michael Jackson. Large screens displayed images of his iconic performances, his music videos, and behind-the-scenes glimpses of his creative process. Clips of children dancing to his songs in schools, fans singing along at concerts, and moments of generosity in charity events reminded everyone that Michael's influence extended far beyond the stage. As the audience watched, they were transported through time, witnessing the evolution of an artist who had grown alongside generations of fans while remaining true to his own vision. Before the award presentation, various artists and industry leaders took the stage to speak about Michael's impact. Each tribute was heartfelt and personal. Some performers shared stories of how Michael had inspired their own musical journeys. Others spoke of the joy he had brought to the world, not just through music, but through his dedication to helping others. Even journalists, who often scrutinized every aspect of his life, acknowledged the transformative effect he had on the music industry. Each word added to the anticipation, building a sense of collective admiration that filled the room with warmth and respect. Finally, the moment arrived. The announcer's voice echoed through the venue, calling Michael Jackson to the stage to receive the Millennium Award. The audience rose, erupting in a standing ovation that seemed endless. Fans waved banners, and camera flashes illuminated the room. Michael walked gracefully, his movements fluid and calm, his expression a mixture of humility and quiet pride. As he approached the podium, the applause continued, a powerful reminder that his art had not only entertained, but also inspired, comforted, and united people from all walks of life. On stage, Michael received the award with gentle gratitude. The crystal trophy sparkled under the lights, but it was the symbolic meaning of the honor that truly shone. Michael took a deep breath and spoke in his soft, melodic voice. He thanked his fans, acknowledging the love and support they had given him throughout his life. He mentioned his family, his team, and the countless individuals who had helped him bring his visions to life. But more than anything, he emphasized the joy of creating, the power of music to connect hearts, and the importance of using one's talents to inspire and uplift others. The audience listened intently, captivated not just by the words, but by the sincerity behind them. Michael's speech was simple, yet it carried the weight of decades of dedication. He did not boast about accomplishments or list awards. Instead, he focused on the shared experience between artist and audience, highlighting the way music could bring people together in harmony. Every sentence resonated with honesty, reminding everyone that true success is measured not by recognition alone, but by the positive impact one leaves on the world. After the speech, the celebration continued with performances inspired by Michael's legacy. Dancers paid tribute to his unique style, singers covered his iconic songs, and visual displays showcased his creative genius. Each act reinforced the idea that Michael Jackson was more than a musician. He was a source of inspiration, a cultural bridge, and a symbol of imagination and dedication. The audience cheered, sang along, and moved to the rhythm, united by the magic of his work. It was a night where admiration, respect, and love for an artist transcended mere entertainment. Even after leaving the stage, Michael remained composed. He greeted fans, shook hands with fellow performers, and quietly observed the reactions of those around him. There was no need for spectacle. The energy of appreciation filled the room naturally. People recognized that they were witnessing a milestone not only in his career, but in music history itself. For fans, this was a moment they would remember forever. A night where their hero was celebrated for the joy, creativity, and hope he had given to the world. As the evening wound down, Michael reflected on the events with a sense of fulfillment. The Millennium Award had been more than an accolade. It had been a celebration of connection, artistry, and influence. He thought about the countless fans who had inspired him just as much as he had inspired them. He considered the children who would one day discover his music, the future artists who would build upon his work, and the universal language of song that continued to unite people across boundaries of culture, language, and geography. The day in Monte Carlo became a story to tell for generations. It captured the essence of Michael Jackson, not just as a performer, but as a person who had touched hearts through talent, kindness, and dedication. Fans left the venue with memories they would cherish forever. Reporters wrote articles that would preserve the moment in history, and fellow artists felt renewed inspiration. For Michael, the experience reaffirmed his purpose: to create, to connect, and to share his gift with the world. In the quiet moments after the event, Michael walked through the venue one last time, taking in the energy and joy that lingered in the air. He felt a deep sense of gratitude, not for the recognition itself, but for the opportunity to live a life filled with music, creativity, and human connection. The Millennium Award was a milestone, yes, but it was also a reminder that true artistry is measured by the hearts it touches, the smiles it inspires, and the memories it creates. And on that magical night in Monte Carlo, Michael Jackson had done all of that and more, leaving a lasting imprint on the world as he stepped into a new era. The ceremony continued, and the air was thick with admiration and excitement. Inside the grand hall of the World Music Awards, every detail seemed designed to honor Michael Jackson's lifetime of creativity. Large screens displayed clips from his most famous music videos, showing the energy, passion, and imagination that had made him a global icon. Fans cheered every familiar scene, the way he moved, the way he sang, the way he could tell stories without words, using only music and dance. It was a reminder that Michael's influence was not limited to just his songs. His creativity had inspired fashion, choreography, and even the way artists approached music videos around the world. Performers took the stage one by one, each act a tribute to Michael's extraordinary career. Young artists, many of whom had grown up listening to his music, performed renditions of his songs with a mixture of admiration and joy. Their voices carried not only melody, but emotion, echoing the way Michael had connected with listeners through sincerity and passion. Dancers moved with precision, replicating his iconic moves, the moonwalk, the spins, the dramatic hand gestures, reminding the audience of the originality and skill that had made him famous. Even as these performers paid homage, it became clear that Michael's style was more than imitation. It was a standard of excellence and creativity that others aspired to reach. Industry veterans also spoke from the stage. They shared stories of Michael's contributions not only to music, but to the entire entertainment industry. Some spoke about how his albums had set unprecedented records, selling millions of copies worldwide, breaking boundaries between different genres and cultures. Others highlighted the way his performances had inspired a generation of entertainers to dream bigger, practice harder, and create with more imagination. Each tribute was heartfelt, reminding everyone that Michael Jackson was not just a performer, but a pioneer, a person who had reshaped music and entertainment on a global scale. Even the audience seemed caught in the magic. Every fan, from children to elderly admirers, sat or stood with rapt attention. Cameras captured every smile, every cheer, every wave of hands raised in celebration. It was as if the room itself had become part of the performance, vibrating with appreciation and joy. People from different countries, speaking different languages, shared a common experience: the ability to recognize genius, dedication, and passion when they saw it. In that moment, the music truly united everyone, transcending borders and differences, reminding the world why Michael Jackson had earned the love of millions. Backstage, Michael observed the performances with quiet pride. He did not need applause to feel satisfied. He felt joy simply by seeing others carry forward the spirit of his work. Each dancer, each singer, each artist on stage reminded him of the power of art to connect people, to inspire hope, and to create memories that last a lifetime. Even after decades in the spotlight, he still marveled at how music could touch hearts across ages, cultures, and continents. For him, the real reward was seeing the love and respect that his work had earned, not just the awards or recognition. As the night progressed, the program shifted to more intimate tributes. Short videos showed children performing in schools, fans covering his songs at home, and communities using his music to celebrate joy and togetherness. Michael watched these clips with a soft smile, touched by the way his art had become part of everyday life for so many people. It was not about fame or fortune, it was about connection. He realized that every note he had sung, every move he had danced, every idea he had brought to life had traveled beyond stages, screens, and albums to touch real lives. That was a feeling no award could fully measure, yet it was a feeling that filled him with profound gratitude. As the tributes continued, other artists joined the stage to speak directly about how Michael had influenced them personally. A young singer described how she had learned to dance and sing by watching his music videos as a child. A songwriter explained how Michael's creativity had inspired him to think differently about rhythm, melody, and lyrics. Even choreographers spoke of how his innovative moves had pushed them to refine their craft and explore new possibilities. Each story was unique, yet all shared a common theme. Michael Jackson had changed lives through his art, giving people not only entertainment, but also inspiration to pursue their own dreams. The audience was deeply moved. Many wiped away tears, some stood and applauded, and others simply watched in awe. It was a night where admiration turned into celebration, and celebration turned into a shared experience of joy. The energy in the room was both electric and heartfelt. Michael's presence was felt in every performance, every speech, and every gesture of respect. It was a reminder that art, when created with sincerity and passion, can leave a legacy that touches not only hearts, but also minds, shaping culture and inspiring generations. Michael himself reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. He thought about the small stages he had first performed on as a child with his brothers, the long hours of practice and rehearsal, the challenges he had faced in an industry that constantly demanded innovation, and the millions of fans who had supported him throughout. Each memory reminded him of the importance of dedication, perseverance, and the desire to create something meaningful. He realized that the Millennium Award was not only recognition of his achievements, but also a reflection of the countless people who had been part of his journey, from collaborators to fans, to family members. As the performances reached their peak, Michael felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The evening was not just a celebration of his own work, it was a celebration of creativity, inspiration, and connection. It was a reminder that music could bring people together in ways nothing else could. Watching artists perform his songs, seeing the joy on the audience's faces, and witnessing the sincere tributes from colleagues and fans alike, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Every applause, every cheer, every heartfelt word was proof that his work had made a lasting impact, one that would continue to influence and inspire long into the future. The evening also highlighted Michael's belief in the power of positive influence. Throughout his life, he had worked not only to entertain, but also to uplift, encourage, and inspire others. From charity efforts to motivational messages in his music, Michael had always sought to use his talent for good. The tributes that night reflected that philosophy. Artists spoke not only about his talent, but also about his kindness, dedication, and generosity. They shared stories of moments when he had reached out to help, to support, or to mentor. Michael listened quietly, feeling humbled by the recognition, but also reminded of the responsibility that comes with influence. By the time the final tribute concluded, the atmosphere was almost magical. Fans and performers alike felt connected in a shared moment of appreciation and admiration. The night had celebrated more than a single individual. It had celebrated the power of music, the importance of creativity, and the impact of living a life dedicated to art and humanity. Michael Jackson had been the center of the evening, but the true focus was the ripple effect of his work, the way it had inspired others, brought people together, and left a lasting mark on the world. As the program drew to a close, Michael took a moment to reflect privately. He thought about the many people he had met during his career, the children who had danced along to his songs, the fans who had sent letters and gifts, the artists who had reached out to express their gratitude. He remembered the moments of joy and laughter, the quiet hours of creation, and the times when he had simply tried to do his best. That reflection gave him a sense of peace. He realized that the Millennium Award and the tributes were symbols of something much bigger than any single night. They represented the enduring power of creativity, dedication, and kindness. In that quiet moment, Michael understood the true significance of the evening. The awards, performances, and speeches had been wonderful, but what mattered most was the connection. It was the connection between artist and audience, between one person and another, and between generations inspired by the same music. He felt that, in honoring him, the world had also celebrated the universal language of music, the joy of expression, and the power of dreams. For him, that was the most meaningful reward of all. As the night ended, fans slowly began to leave, still talking excitedly about what they had witnessed. Many would remember this evening for the rest of their lives, a night when they had seen a living legend celebrated not only for his talent, but also for the inspiration he had provided. For Michael, the memories of the night would stay with him as well. A reminder of why he loved music, why he performed, and why he dedicated his life to creating art that could touch hearts across the globe. Even as the lights dimmed and the crowd dispersed, the energy lingered. The music, the tributes, the stories, and the smiles all carried the essence of Michael Jackson's impact. It was a night that went beyond awards and recognition. It was a celebration of artistry, creativity, and the enduring ability of one person's work to bring joy and inspiration to countless others. And in that, Michael Jackson found both happiness and purpose, feeling deeply connected to the people who had made his journey possible and inspired to continue sharing his gift with the world. After the ceremony, the city of Monte Carlo slowly settled into the quiet rhythm of the night. The lights on the harbor reflected softly on the water, and the streets, which had been full of excitement just hours before, became calm. Yet, inside Michael Jackson's mind, the energy of the evening continued to resonate. The Millennium Award had been more than an event. It had been a reminder of a lifetime spent creating, inspiring, and connecting with people through music. Even as the applause faded from his ears, the impact of the night lingered in his heart, filling him with a deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment. As Michael walked through the quiet corridors backstage, he reflected on the incredible journey that had led him here. He remembered the first time he had performed on a stage with his brothers, the small audiences that had cheered for a young boy full of dreams. He remembered the long days of practice, the endless rehearsals, and the countless hours he had dedicated to mastering his craft. Every challenge, every triumph, every moment of doubt had shaped him into the artist he had become. Receiving the Millennium Award was not just recognition of his accomplishments. It was a testament to the persistence, creativity, and heart he had poured into every performance, every song, and every gesture of connection with his audience. The award ceremony also reminded Michael of the incredible bond he shared with his fans. For decades, they had supported him through every stage of his career, celebrating his successes and offering encouragement during times of difficulty. He thought about the children who had danced along to his songs in school halls, the teenagers who had mimicked his moves in their living rooms, and the adults who had passed his music down to new generations. Their love and enthusiasm had always been a source of strength and inspiration, and the Millennium Award symbolized the unique and lasting relationship he had with them. Michael felt humbled by the loyalty and admiration of millions of people who had been touched by his art. The experience also reinforced Michael's belief in the power of music to unite people across cultures and borders. As he had watched the performances during the ceremony, he was struck by how different artists from all over the world had come together to honor him. Some sang in languages he did not speak. Others danced in styles he had never seen. Yet the essence of connection was the same. Music had a universal language, one that transcended differences and brought people together. Michael realized that, through his work, he had been part of this extraordinary network of shared humanity, touching hearts and inspiring dreams far beyond his immediate audience. The award had celebrated not only him, but the countless individuals and communities who had embraced his music and carried it forward in their own lives. Reflecting on his career, Michael thought about the legacy he wanted to leave behind. He understood that fame and recognition were temporary, but the impact of creativity and kindness could last forever. He remembered the messages he had received from fans who had been inspired to pursue their own dreams because of his example. He remembered the joy of creating songs that could make people smile, dance, or feel hope in difficult times. The Millennium Award was a milestone, yes, but more importantly, It was a reminder that every act of creation, every gesture of love, and every moment of connection mattered. His art had the power to influence lives, and that responsibility was one he cherished deeply. As the days following the ceremony passed, Michael continued to feel the after-effects of the celebration. The world had acknowledged his contributions in a formal way. But for him, the real joy came from knowing that people had experienced his music and performances in meaningful ways. Letters from fans, messages from fellow artists, and stories of how his work had inspired others filled his thoughts. Each message reinforced the idea that his journey had been worthwhile, that the countless hours of practice, performance, and reflection had created something far larger than himself. The Millennium Award, while significant, was just one symbol of a life dedicated to music, imagination, and connection. Michael also considered the future. Receiving such a prestigious honor did not signal an end, but rather a new chapter. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that he still had the ability to create, inspire, and connect with people around the world. The award reminded him that influence is not static. It grows and evolves with time. Just as he had been inspired by artists before him and had inspired those who came after, Michael understood that his work could continue to have an impact for years to come. This thought filled him with energy and motivation, pushing him to explore new ideas, new sounds, and new ways to bring joy to his audience. Even in quiet, reflective moments, Michael found lessons from the night that stayed with him. He realized that recognition, while meaningful, was not the most important measure of success. True success lay in the ability to touch lives, to inspire others, and to leave a positive mark on the world. He thought about the many young artists who had taken the stage that night in tribute, and he felt proud not just of his own achievements, but of the way he had helped others believe in themselves. The Millennium Award was a milestone, but the real reward was the ongoing influence of his work, the connections he had made, and the hope he had inspired. As the celebration became a memory, Michael returned to his daily life with a renewed sense of calm and purpose. He continued to practice, to compose, and to plan future projects, understanding that each new idea had the potential to touch someone's heart. He remained humble, never letting the recognition overshadow the joy of creation. The award had been a public acknowledgement of his accomplishments, but it was the private, personal experiences of making music, performing, and connecting with others that truly defined his legacy. Looking back on the night in Monte Carlo, Michael saw it as a turning point. The Millennium Award had marked the culmination of decades of dedication, creativity, and influence, but it also reminded him that his journey was ongoing. The world had celebrated his past achievements, but the future held limitless possibilities. He felt inspired to continue pushing boundaries, to explore new artistic expressions, and to share his gift in ways that could bring happiness, inspiration, and unity. The award was a milestone, but his passion for music and creativity remained alive and strong, guiding him toward new adventures. The night had also reinforced the importance of gratitude. Michael reflected on the support of his family, his team, and his fans. Each had played a role in his journey, and each had contributed to the experiences that led to the Millennium Award. He realized that success is never a solitary achievement. It is built through collaboration, encouragement, and the willingness of others to believe in your vision. By acknowledging this, Michael felt even more connected to the people who had shared his journey, and he understood that the true meaning of the award extended far beyond himself. In the weeks that followed, the story of the Millennium Award continued to resonate around the world. News outlets, magazines, and online platforms shared the highlights of the evening, emphasizing Michael Jackson's contributions to music, dance, and global culture. Fans continued to discuss the performances, the tributes, and the heartfelt moments that had defined the ceremony. For Michael, it was a reminder that while awards may come and go, the joy and inspiration created through music endure. The recognition he received was not only a reflection of his own work, but a celebration of the countless lives that had been touched and transformed by his art. Ultimately, the Millennium Award became a symbol of Michael Jackson's enduring legacy. It celebrated not just a moment in time, but a lifetime of creativity, passion, and dedication. It reminded the world of the power of music to bring people together, the value of expressing oneself authentically, and the impact that one individual can have on millions of lives. For Michael, it reinforced his belief that art has the ability to create joy, hope, and connection, and that each new day offers the opportunity to continue sharing that gift with the world. As Michael Jackson continued his journey beyond that night, he carried with him the memories, gratitude, and inspiration from the ceremony. The Millennium Award was a milestone, but it was not the conclusion of his story. It was a moment of reflection, celebration, and renewed purpose. A reminder that his influence would endure and that his dedication to music, creativity, and humanity would continue to inspire generations to come. In every note he sang, every dance he performed, and every idea he shared, the spirit of that night lived on, affirming that Michael Jackson's true legacy was far greater than any award. It was the joy, love, and inspiration he gave to the world.